to adaptive capacity, and some will be stronger in one dimension. And because you also mentioned domains in your discussion, I'm not sure if that's relevant here.
Peter Hildenbrand.
Yeah.
I just think that your adaptive capacity is not the sum of, or it's not some weighted sum, but maybe it's like a chain, for example, that it's your adaptive capacity is limited by your one most limiting factor.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, look, this is exploratory, right? On this. So I mean, this is the angle that we're taking, but it's problematic, and we're trying to see whether things like social capital matter more, and we're looking across sort of rural to urban, and as it changes. And our hypothesis is that most, like natural capital, will change as you get closer to urban areas, but social capital will probably be the most important thing, no matter where you are in that scenario.
Any other final comments or questions? So we hope that you walk away from this morning's session with more food for thought about the research that goes into family agriculture, resilience, these complex topics. I did want to take 1 second to talk a little bit more about Camille Jules, Felipe and I, why we're here. We are part of a facilitation skills course that's taught by Becky Williams and John Dane. We wanted to say thank you to Wendy Lynn and Bob for letting us come in because this is actually part of the final assignment that we're working on to facilitate an event. And so thank you for your patience if there were any confusion or awkwardness in our facilitation. But it was a great experience for us, and we hope that you got something out of it as well. With that in mind, Wendy, do you have any other final comments? Or Bob?
No, I guess I would just say that I heard two main themes this morning, and the first one is diversity, 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 and just both in terms of how we understand resilience, how we measure adaptive capacity, sort of theoretical visions of these concepts. And I think there isn't one that's perfect. They're all trying their best, but they are contradictory. And in the literature, the Resilience Alliance has one sort of worldview in the way that they structure their conceptual analysis versus the vulnerability people. They construct it very differently. And so I think, in the end, you have to pick one and you have to try it out and see how it works, or you can pick 5 and then try them all out. But, I don't think it's worth arguing too long about whose conceptual framework is the best, because they're all just different. And so just being clear about what you're going to measure over time is what I think is going to be really important, and sort of sticking to that over time. So we did hear also about the longitudinal aspect, and so that has to be included into this framework. And then the diversity aspect also comes out in the heterogeneity of the communities and, of states. That was like a clear theme. So obviously whichever resilience framework or adaptive capacity framework you choose, you would hope that it can capture that heterogeneity. So I think that needs to be an important part. And then the other thing that kind of came out, and maybe this is my bias that I'm showing, but that I think came out is sort of the value of information that we produce at the university, and who uses it, why, and for what ends. And that, we may have to really be self-critical and consider, how naive we are to think that the information we're producing is going to inform a policy process. And I think what David brought about this idea that, social movements can be powerful engines of change, and that we shouldn't always think about the policy coming from the top to the bottom, was a clear theme. But, Mickey Swisher said to me just after the panel, she said, what my theory is? 70% of social science are people going out and validating exactly what they wanted to find. Because they set up their research in a way that helps them see what they want to see. And so I think the biggest challenge for us is she said, the most important thing you have to do is try to disprove your favorite idea. So you have your favorite idea, then you set up a strategy to prove yourself wrong. And if you're not doing that, then you may be, going off into ways of sort of bringing in sort of self-fulfilling prophecies. So I think that's really important for us to think about as you thinking about measuring change over time through a comparative study. So I think we're in good shape for this afternoon.
Good.
Thank you.
Joanne. So just like logistical thing, we have food. We need to put on the table.